What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in the building with another banger, man. So, as always, first things first, I just want to go ahead and say thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity. Thank y'all, the Rich Gang family, RGF, for showing out. And man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Now, anybody who wants to join the Rich Gang family, be sure to go ahead and turn on post notifications, hit that like button, and do not forget to drop a comment down below when done. So, today, I got a very special video lined up for y'all. The top 3 most broken and rare small forward builds on NBA 2K22 Next Gen. So first, we got lined up for y'all the point forward with post scoring takeover, y'all. So what you want to go ahead and do to make this build exactly how I did, go ahead and of course put it under the small forward position, but then once it comes down to the height, weight, and wingspan in the upper right corner, I'm going to be going with 6'7", the weight of 181 with a 7'1" wingspan. Now on this build, you're also going to be able to get contact dunks. So as you can see, with that driving dunk, what I decided to do is bring it up to an 87. Then also with the post control, I'm going to bring this up to the mid 80s. And right there, that's going to allow us to get back down Punisher on Hall of Fame, but also 25 finishing badges. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the shooting. As you can see with the midi, I'm going to go with an 82 and the three-pointer is going to match it exactly perfect. Then from there, we're going to go with the 61 free throw, and that's going to allow us to get 24 shooting badges. Now, when it comes down to the playmaking end, here is where things are going to get even more special. So as you can see, of course, this is a point forward. We got to go ahead and put as much as attributes as we possibly can when it comes down to the playmaking. So I'm going to end it off with 28 playmaking badges. Then once it gets into the defensive end, here is where things are going to help us out even more. So as you can see, looking really balanced, especially with being able to grab boards. I like the fact that with this version, I decided to upgrade the rebounding. And then on top of all that, we will be getting 22 defensive badges. And on this build, you have the potential to get either 30 badges for the finishing, shooting, even the playmaking and defensive end. So as you can see right here, if you want to go anything higher than an 80 stamina, you definitely can do that. Again, this all just comes down to a personal preference with how you want to make your physicals. Now, also, you can always adjust the free throw as well. That is something that I would really just throw out to y'all, just in case you want to make your own changes to this build. Just know you definitely can do that as long as you be very specific with which stats that you change, but also with maintaining the build name. Now, when it comes down to the takeovers on this build, this is where things are going to get even better. So as you can see, like I said earlier, we will be able to get the post-scoring takeover on this build. Paired up with back down Punisher on Hall of Fame is going to make this build all the better. But then you also have the shot creating takeover to break ankles, so that is where it really all comes down to your personal preference. The first one for me, I'm going with the shot creating takeover just so I could break ankles. The second one, I would definitely have to say one of the post scoring or finishing moves is going to be solid. And as y'all can see, we have made the points forward build, and look at the comparisons of RJ Barrett, Scottie Pippen, as well as Jaylen Brown. Now, let's go ahead and get into the second build that I got lined up for y'all. A very rare build name at that as well, the Offense Initiator. So with this one, we are going to be ending up with the sharpshooting takeover, and I'm telling you, this is probably one of the most rare small forward builds that you will be seeing all year. Now, if you are still here watching, I just want y'all to know that I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comment section, what do y'all think about these top 3 videos that I have been bringing to y'all? And also let me know, what kind of videos do you want to see below? And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and shout out to whoever gives me the next video idea right at the beginning of each video. So go ahead and hit that like button, sit back and relax. And now let's go ahead and get into the making of this second build. So of course, again, we're going to go ahead and put this build under the small forward position. But then once it comes down to the height, weight, and wingspan, this is very specific on each of these builds. So again, with this build, it's no surprise we're going to be going with 6'7" as well. Then for the weight, I'm going to be going with 181, and then as for the wingspan, I'm really liking 7'1" as well. Now for the body shape, I'm going to go with builds on this one, but you are most definitely welcome to change it if you feel like going with anything other than what I'm showing y'all. Now, let's go ahead and get into the actual breakdown of this build. This is the most crucial thing about this build. Just be sure to follow along each and every step of the way. So as you can see, for the finishing on this build, we're changing it up a little bit different from the previous. We're going to go ahead and upgrade that standing dunk, getting 26 badges, and also we will be able to get contact dunks. Now, the midi on this build, we're going to go with an 80, max out that three-pointer, and then from there, we're going to be able to get 24 badges. Then as for the free throw, here is where we're going to be able to take this build into any game mode. Go with the 70, and that's going to be perfect. And then, once we get into the playmaking, we're going to get another 24 badges to work with. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the defensive end. This is probably the most important part about this build. So, with that perimeter defense, we have to keep it at a 75. If you go anything higher, the build name is going to change, but honestly, 75, then you include boost, that is really going to change once you go ahead and take a look at what this build is going to be settled at once you max it out to 99, buy boost, and even run with teammates that will be having defensive leader and even floor general. Now, I like the 26 badges that we do get for the defensive end. However, when it comes down to the physicals, we're going to go with an 82 speed. As for the acceleration, instead of maxing it out, go with the 76. Then for the vertical, go with the 70. And then the stamina is going to be brought up to an 84. Now, if you want to upgrade your stamina, all you got to go ahead and do is lower your free throw a little bit. And then from there, throw the extra attributes into the stamina. But all of the badges that we do get on this build are pretty solid as well, especially when it comes down to the defensive end. You're going to have everything that you really need when it comes down to this. Now, all around, I would definitely have to say this build is going to be able to do everything that you would need out of any single build. But when it comes down to the takeovers, here is where things get even more special. So we do get the slashing takeover on this build as well. Then we get the shot creating, sharpshooting, and finally paired up with the playmaking. Now, whichever one you pick, it really all comes down to your personal preference, what you want to do, as well as what you feel like is going to put you in the best way for success. So for me, on this build, I'm going to go with finishing moves first. The second takeover, you can definitely go with the sharpshooting or the shot creating to break ankles. I'm going to leave it up to y'all, but I'm going to go with the ankle breaking shots. And as y'all can see, we have made the offense initiator build, and I love the comparison of LeBron James, y'all. Now, if you are still here watching, I really just want y'all to know that I appreciate y'all, and I hope you are having a great start to your weekend. But now, let's go ahead and get into the third, and honestly, the most rare small forward build on this list, going to be called the offensive-minded wing, and we're making this build at 6'7" as well, and we're going to be able to get that post-scoring takeover. So look, man, I just want y'all to know that I really appreciate every one of you who is still watching the banger. Just know that I pray for you, man, and I just hope that you get everything in life that God has called you to be. Now, let's go ahead and get into the making of this build. That was my little daily inspiration for y'all. Of course, we got to go ahead and put this build under the small forward position again. But then, once we go ahead and get in depth with this build, you are just going to see how much more different this build is from the previous ones. So, on this one, we're going to be going with 6'7" again. That is going to be a trend with these small forwards. But then once we go ahead and get into the weight, that's going to be the same as well as even the wingspan. Now, as we go along, I promise you, you're really going to see what this build is going to be able to do at the small forward position. And on top of all that, I'm telling you, as we go along, the build is only going to continue to get even better. So as you can see, once it comes down to the finishing on this build, I'm going to go with the close shot of 80. That is actually really balanced, especially when you consider it for the post scoring inside of this build. Now, we're actually going to go ahead and upgrade that post control as well. And on top of all that, we will be able to get the contact dunks as long as we adjust our vertical. But as you can see, a majority of these builds are pretty similar in fashion when it comes down to the stats. But if you take an even deeper look at it, you're going to see that these builds are different because when it comes down to the finishing, I'm changing up a few minor things. Also with the same thing can be said for the shooting, but then also build, even with the playmaking, with the pass accuracy being under an 80 under this build, that is what's going to give us that rare build name that we do want. So as you can see, 25 badges when it comes down to the finishing, 24 for the shooting, and then we do get 23 for the playmaking. But once we go ahead and get into the defensive end, I'm telling you, you got to be very specific when it comes down to making these builds. So on the perimeter defense, keep it as is at a 61, but I promise you, once you add boost as well as run with the correct teammates that will be running floor general or defensive leader on Hall of Fame, this build definitely has the potential to look even better on the defensive end and even with the takeovers, y'all. So as for the main stats, this is pretty much what this build is going to be looking like, but I'm telling you, on the physicals, we're going to max out that speed, acceleration, 80 vertical, and a 90 stamina, and this is pretty much what the badges are going to be looking like as well when it comes down to the defensive end. Now, I'm telling you, the biggest thing that's going to make a huge impact on this build is definitely going to be the takeover. Now, if you followed along exactly how I made it, I promise you, this is definitely the best version that you're going to be making out of this offensive-minded wing. But on top of all that, remember, you do get extra badge points that you will be able to add once this build is maxed out completely, and then you do use it for the rebirth. But honestly, I'm liking how the finishing is looking with that back down Punisher badge on Hall of Fame. Going to make a huge difference in my opinion, and then especially to get posterizing dunks, that's going to make it all the better. But as you can see, for the takeovers, we do get the slashing, shot creating, sharpshooting, and then the post scoring. All of these are really just going to come down to your personal preference as well as your play style. So I'm going to leave that option up to y'all. But for me, y'all already know that I got to go with the ankle breaking shots takeover. Secondly, if you want to go with the slashing, that is definitely okay. But man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Go ahead and turn on post notifications. Hit that like button and be sure to drop a comment down below when done. I love y'all. I thank y'all. And man, with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Thank God and Rich out.